Social media is kind of strange, and so is YouTube in general. It seems like no matter if you try to give advice or you try to provide facts on something, you're always going to find uneducated fools that will reply to you, whether they're trolling you, whether they're attacking you. It really makes no sense. Now, this guy made this video, as you can see, that I'm showing you from a screenshot, that the American flag is touching the ground. Now, and that's fine. He doesn't know because he's a young guy. So I went to Google, I did a search, and it came back with some information, and I decided to copy and paste. So this was strictly from Google. And I stated the flag should never touch anything beneath it, such as the ground, the floor, water, or merchandise. The flag should never be carried flat or horizontal, but always aloft and free. The flag should never be used as wearing apparel, bedding, or drapery. Now, there are many other rules to the American flag that probably most people don't know about that have never searched Google or other websites to see what that information is. And when I wanted to hang the American flag outside my house, I had to go and do the research. Well, one, I didn't want to look like a moron. I didn't want to look like an asshole. I wanted to make sure I was doing everything proper. The flag should be brought in on bad weather, not left outside. There are many rules with the American flag that a lot of people don't understand, and these are just some of them that I've mentioned. So I thought by copying and pasting out of Google, I put that in the comment section, and he would see it, and he would fix the problem, and he would learn. Well, he never replied to me. I'm not sure why yet, but it seems to me he told his friends or his father or his grandfather. It seems like he told other people to say, what do you guys think of this comment? And I started receiving comments back. But the log cabin's too short for that flag. What's he supposed to do to get a smaller flag? Somebody had replied, and that's his little log cabin he built. And I replied back to that guy, what, just because the cabin is too short is no excuse. Build a flagpole, or yes, get a smaller flag. It's an insult to all who have served. Learn the rules of our flag. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm simply stating facts. And I got another reply was, that's quite a high horse you got there, fella. How tall is he? Now, that comment made no sense to me, but because he used the word fella, tells me he's an older gentleman, is what it tells me. He's definitely not a 20-year-old. So I replied back to him and said, has nothing to do with a high horse. You are more than welcome to Google it yourself and come back with an argument that makes sense. If your feelings are hurt, I suggest you get over it. I understand he's a young man. The first post I made was directly from Google, in case you did not know. All I was doing was educating him, nothing more. Instead of coming back with a comment that makes you look very uneducated, please Google it yourself. These people took real offense to what I was trying to explain that was a fact. To me, and these are Americans, to me they should have educated him and helped him along his way to understand what the American flag is. And from these comments, I'm starting to see that most people don't really know what the American flag is all about. You know, we have allowed people to get away with burning the flag. We have allowed people with wearing the flag around their shoulders. It's ridiculous in protest. And just these comments really bother me because we seem to see more of a tranny flag than we do the American flag. And this is a very sad day. Now, I ended up with some more comments under it. This one seems like a younger man. I'm not quite sure. But even this was kind of sad. So he replied with this, other guy replied with, If your feelings are hurt, I suggest you get over it. You're quite literally the only one complaining. LOL. You're not in a position to be suggesting that someone else is hurt by your complaints. Coming from someone who respects the flag quite a bit, what you need to realize, it is an inanimate object. It accidentally touching the ground affects absolutely nothing. There's no ill intentions behind it. He just didn't know. You were absolutely on a high horse, bud. I suggest you do something better than complaining on the internet about something that has no effect on anything. I've never seen such an ignorant comment in my life, and even though I asked people to go Google it and do some research, this young man still made this comment. I was just literally shaking my head. So then I replied to him, and I simply said, first off, not complaining. I simply stated a fact. And that's what I did. I Googled it. I stated a fact. I even posted where I got it from. I told them where I got it from. My first post is from Google. Direct, and it's just the facts. I also stated in my previous post that he most likely did not know. What is really sad about this conversation is if the young man does not know, then that means our pathetic school system failed him and many more. Anyhow, I will sit on this high horse and be proud of it. And he replied later, yeah, you need to get a life, LOL. I need to get a life. I think there are so many uneducated people that have lost common sense and the basics and respect that it's very sad today. And I think the schools have failed in teaching what the American flag means. They teach more about tranny books and tranny flags and all this other stuff. We see schools fighting because they have a tranny flag up, an LGBTQ flag. And he says he knows about the American flag, which his comments also show he does not. And that's all there is to it. When a flag gets tattered and torn, it's not supposed to be hung. You're supposed to take it to the VA office and they will dispose of it properly. And I'm like, are people forgetting these things? Men and women have gave their lives for this country since the beginning of time. And yes, it is an inanimate object from what he's saying, but it's more than that. It's what it means. Now, some people would say, oh, well, we were in Iraq for oil, or we were in this place, because of money. And I'm sure much of that's true. But that doesn't mean we disrespect the flag for what it stands for. It seems to me these people that are trying to find some way to turn this into an argument when it's a fact make no sense to me. And I guess they're upset because they think I attacked this young man, which I didn't. I simply posted directly what was in Google. Nothing more. Now, I hope this young man does raise the flag off the ground or raise it higher or put it on a pole or whatever and doesn't leave it. If he does, he's just disrespecting the flag in his videos. And yes, I will probably end up unsubbing him because of it. But it's just sad. To me, life has rules. And because life has rules, we as human beings tend to work better as a group. And to me, when the schools are willing to teach more about LGBTQ flags and more about what type of books they're going to put in and what type of books they're going to remove, and they don't even talk about the American flag and the country they live in, makes no sense to me at all. No sense whatsoever. I don't get into a lot of the politics that goes on, whether it's right, whether it's wrong. I don't really care about the politics of war. The bottom line is this soldier has joined, this soldier has given his life to protect and serve, and the respect should be given, period. And that flag stands for something. And when people don't think that flag does stand for something, I think they're in trouble. And I think they're in trouble very quickly. You know, back in my day when I was younger, when I was in my, I was 14, I was 16, I was in my 20s, if I decided to disrespect my father in any way, you got a backhand. Now, whether people like that or not, or whether they want to call it abuse or what they want to call it, the bottom line was that backhand came out of nowhere and you didn't even see it coming. And your dad would give you a dirty look and he'd look at you and say, how could you be so disrespectful? You got an attitude change and a tune-up really quick when you disrespected something. Your grandfather, your grandmother, your mother, anybody. And that was just life being raised when I was younger. Where nowadays, I guess they let them do whatever they want. And this is the type of byproduct that we get. You know, like when soldiers came back from Iraq, the American flag was draped over the casket. Did you know the only person that can have an American flag draped over a casket is somebody that actually fought in the armed forces? If you have not fought in the armed forces, you cannot have an American flag draped over your casket. These are all part of the rules. And because these people want to argue and debate because they think they're in the right, it is very, very sad. And I did make a final comment to him, and I sat back and said, first off, I did not complain. I'm simply stating a fact. My first post was from Google Direct and just the facts. I also stated in my previous post, he most likely did not know. What is really sad about this conversation is the young man does not know, and then that means our pathetic school system failed him, and many more. Anyhow, I will sit on this high horse and be proud of it then. If they believe I'm on a high horse because I am protecting the U.S. flag and because I am showing them facts, then so be it. I will sit on that high horse. I don't care if 100 comments come and tell me I'm a complete moron for pointing out the facts. I would rather sit alone as one when I point out the facts and sit on that high horse and for others to see and others to educate and let them decide. The few that want to attack me because I've stood up for the flag and because they think it's wrong because it's an inanimate object, it is not an inanimate object. There is more to that flag than these young people know. And I think people are losing it when they have to turn around and argue about something when you pull a fact from somewhere. Let's say it's not even about the flags. Okay? Let's say it's not about the American flag. If you pull out a fact from something that's definitely a fact, no matter what, it should not be debated. If you want to go look it up and then you want to say, okay, yeah, that's correct. It should not be debated. Okay? And I don't understand how pathetic people are getting. You know, I will see videos on people that say how many genders there are, and you'll sit back and say, well, there's two. They actually have people standing up in colleges and universities debating this, and they have other people that are LGBT standing there saying, well, you're just making my life miserable. There are different genders. Or how about other ones like, oh, the earth is flat? I mean, what is happening with society in general? Okay, facts are facts, and that's the bottom line. And I don't know why people want to debate everything and act like something else is true when it's not. We're going backwards is what we're doing. We're not going forward. And some things are just in gold and it's the way it is. But these people that have replied to me on this guy's channel, not one of them actually went and Googled it or looked up what the rules are with the American flag. And that's sad. That is really, really sad. But they have a right to do this because millions of people fought for them to have this freedom. And that's also very sad. That they can't even respect what has been put right in front of them. So, like I said, I'm not going to post the channel, but if I don't see him fixing that flag, I'm definitely going to unsub him and move on. And he never replied to me. The guy that owns the channel has not replied to me yet. But I can tell from the comments that he has informed his friends or somebody in his family, because it's a very small channel. And they felt they needed to come to his rescue, and that's fine. But sometimes people don't need rescuing. Sometimes people need to be taught. Sometimes people need to be shown. Well, he did Google it. The information's here. Have a look at it. He obviously needs to do some research on that. He's studying hunting. He's studying how to clean animals. I mean, he's doing the studying and all this stuff. But when it came to the flag, he failed. And that's sad. So, if you have an American flag outside, or if you're considering on hanging a flag outside, please go and do a Google and look up what the rules are. And don't be ignorant like these people. More so than anything else. When a person says, yeah, you need to get a life, LOL, I don't know how laughing out loud has anything to say with, yeah, you need to get a life, and how he finds that funny. I really don't. To me, that would be a statement. More so than anything else. And that's a big problem with social media. We can hide behind our avatars, our characters, and we don't have to be responsible for anything we say or do. And this is a big problem with society. Back when I was younger, if we disrespected an elderly man or we said something that was out of place, we didn't get to hide behind our screens. You were confronted by that person head on. And if that person decided to give you a kick up the ass, you didn't tell your parents. I mean, you would have told your parents, you would have got another kick up the ass from your dad. Things have changed a lot from when I was younger. I remember one time I had jumped this fence when we were, playing hide and seek when we were younger. And this Italian man had gotten a hold of the back of my neck. And I was in his garden when I had jumped the fence. And he basically booted me up the ass like 8 times. And then I jumped that fence as fast as I could go. I mean, I was on his property. I was in his garden. I mean, everything I did was wrong. Now, in today, people will actually go home and tell their parents, and then that man would have been charged. Where in my day, you didn't tell your father or your mother that you jumped this guy's fence and he booted you up the ass a few times. You shut your mouth, because if I would have told my dad that, my dad would have turned around and then kicked me up the ass. And he would have taught me some respect. And that's the way it was back then. I think it was a better time. But when it comes to today, it seems like allow them to do whatever they want. And to me, it just seems horrible of what's going on with our younger generation in general. But one thing these people, and even that older gentleman, just really blew my mind away. Why they allowed their feelings to be hurt because I educated him on a fact on Google, I will never understand. But one thing's for sure, these people need to stop defending on disrespecting the flag. It makes no sense to me. Little rant, but if you do have the American flag and you're considering on hanging it, please Google the rules that come with that flag. It's not just hanging a flag outside. It's about a lot of responsibility when you do. I'll catch you guys on the next one.